quite a bit of snow on the ground. Look at the current snow depth across the United States right now. Here across this region, we've had 2 winter storms that have moved through. We've coated the ground with snow, and now we've got some bitter cold air moving in out of the northwest, and that's really going to just, in my opinion, reinforce this Arctic air that's in place. Not a lot of snow up into parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, even back into the Central Plains. A bit of a snow drought, if you will, here. We've had some snow in the Northeast, but no big snowstorms yet. This has really just been clipper systems that have been moving through. And then look across the far southwest. A bit dry, too, here, so we could use some precipitation in this part of the country. Temperatures so far this month, way below average. East of the Rockies, look at this green showing up. These are high temperatures. And the departures from averages, more than 10 degrees below average if you take all the days and really just flatten it out across the month. So very impressive. And I think here, we're not going to warm up very much. If you look at some of the guidance and some of the information coming in from NOAA, they're also looking at the 8 to 14-day outlook. I mean, pretty much the entire country below average, except maybe Florida and Alaska. And actually, when it gets warm in Alaska, you usually get cold across the east, and that's what we're seeing here too. And just in the short term, over the next 6 to 10 days, that cold air will start to build south. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going on right now across the country, why we're seeing this cold air and where it's headed and how intense will it be. As we move through the day today, that cold air starting to be felt back up here across the northern plains. It will start to move south as we move through Sunday and then into Monday. These are temperature anomalies, and the purple is more than 15, 20 degrees below average. And you can see that cold, in my opinion, really almost being reinforced by, again, that snow that's on the ground here, and you'll really feel it, I think, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning across the Ohio Valley. So southern Indiana, southern Illinois, over into Ohio. Some of the models are off the charts, taking you into the teens below zero. I don't know that you get that cold, but it's interesting to see that they're starting to show that in their guidance. I think it's going to be near or below zero at least here, and then we stay below average. Warmer temperatures trying to move into the northern plains, into parts of Canada. And it looks like we're getting ready to have a spring thaw, right? I don't think we are. I think this is really just some warm air surging kind of to the north and east as we prime the system for a much colder week ahead as we head into next week. It'll start this coming weekend across the northern plains, and some of the guidance really pushes this cold air into Texas, pushing these temperatures a good 10 to 20 degrees below average. Again, this is just guidance at this point. This is the GFS, which, to be fair, is a little more muted and not as cold as the European. So let's wait this out and see how all that shakes out. Let's talk about what we know in the short term. And by the way, thanks for coming by. Thousands of you have subscribed over the last couple of days and weeks. It's just blown me away. So if you want to support the channel, subscribe. If you enjoy this content, I hope you'll come back. I used to be in the meteorology world, and I found myself looking at, these kind of things right here, this upper low that's spinning across Minnesota, and what kind of impact will that have across the country. So when I just started looking at it, I started making videos, and here you are. So if you like it, come back. Let's get right back to it. This cold pool of air continues to drop to the south, and it's going to bring some really chilly temperatures that we just showed you here across a good chunk of the eastern United States. Some decent ridging here across the Pacific Northwest. I don't like this look because now you've got this offshore flow here, high pressure at the surface building across the Rockies. It's going to stay windy across Southern California. That's going to keep that fire danger around. And then if you look at this upper level pattern, a bit of a warming trend, but here comes the cold as we head into the weekend and into next week. If you follow these lines, this is straight from the North Pole, pushing that cold air all the way down to the Gulf Coast. And now we set the stage for what I got to wonder, what kind of impulses will be here as we head into next Monday. Will there be something that kind of moves like this? Will it develop a southern snowstorm again? I don't know, but this is the pattern. You got to have the pattern in place before you get the snow. Let's talk about the short term. We do have some snow moving through the Great Lakes. I'm going to back it up and take you through what's left of Sunday here. It's going to be continuing to push into the Great Lakes, into southern parts of Ontario as we move into Monday, and then some showers here across the south. A little bit of light snow up here into the really east of the Rockies here. Some of it back into the mountains too. Some light accumulations out of this, although the mountains could get quite a bit of snow, but once you get outside of the mountains, not as much. This light streak of snow will push east as we head into Tuesday, and then the lake effect. I don't want to downplay that. That's going to continue for the next several days, and there could be quite a bit of snow downwind of the lakes. Wind directions will shift a little bit more northwesterly as we head toward Wednesday, and that could change the fetch here. High pressure, cold Arctic high pressure building in, and underneath that high, the winds back off, and that's why your temperatures at night are really going to get cold. Let's look at the snow into the Great Lakes, and then we'll talk about that cold. A couple of inches here across northern Wisconsin. Some of you into the southern parts of the state here, though, in the snow hole. Not a lot of snow expected for you. It's to your north with this clipper system. And this cold air, though, that's coming in behind this is really going to put that snow here into the UP of Michigan, up here towards Traverse City, over into Cleveland. I think we're going to get some lake effect snow really northeast of Cleveland up towards Erie, also to the east of that. I don't know that we're going to get it up to Buffalo at this point. We probably will see some snow, but the heavier snow to the south of town here, and then off of Lake Ontario here towards the Tug Hill Plateau, with some lighter snow amounts down here into the Appalachians and then into the Ohio Valley. And some of this right here, as you can see, won't necessarily be on Monday, but maybe that weak impulse of energy could bring a coating of snow here to this region heading into Wednesday on top of what we already have on the ground. Again, lighter snow here east of the mountains, but back here in the mountains of Montana and Wyoming, there could be a foot plus in some of the higher elevations. Let's talk about the cold, because it's going to be bitter cold as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures today would probably be the warmest day for quite a while in some areas. As we head into Monday, you can see teens and single digits back up here across the Ohio Valley in toward the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest. Across the south, we're back below or near freezing, at least for a lot of Tennessee. Georgia still in the 30s and 40s, but that cold air pushes south. So as we head into Tuesday afternoon, it might be our last warm day before we see numbers drop back into the 30s here across North Georgia and into North Carolina. Now, early Wednesday morning is going to be a cold one here across the Ohio Valley, Indianapolis, probably near 0 or below 0. This is a blend of models. It's not nearly as aggressive as some of them. The European tries to put you well below 0, and with a fresh snowpack on the ground in some of these areas and clear skies, really pretty much calm winds, it wouldn't be shocking to see these numbers drop below 0. The official forecast has those below 0 numbers in this area, and single digits pushing all the way into the Appalachians and even into the Carolinas, with temperatures down here into the mountains where we're still recovering from the Helene issue, right? The hurricane. A lot of folks still without homes in this region, and no relief really to the cold either. It's just going to stay chilly. You know, January, you usually get a big warm up at some point, but right now, I mean, other than what's happening over the next couple of days, we turn cold, and then we stay cold, I think, for a while. Now, let's talk about the weather for the rest of the week. We do have some showers across the Gulf Coast that will continue to push east, some lake effect snow that we've talked about across the west, high pressure here across the Great Basin. That's going to continue to cause the offshore winds here in Southern California. Not a good situation across this part of the United States. Now, as we move into Wednesday, there's that cold air settling in here. Temperatures well below average. We start to rebound some as we head toward Thursday as the upper level pattern tries to bring some warmer air north. But here comes the next system, the next change in the upper level. That'll bring some snow. It'll bring a cold front through. Ahead of that, there could be some rain showers, maybe even rain up into Ohio. Maybe. Let's see how all this shakes out. And then we go back over to some snow as this moves through. But the idea that there will be a cold front moving through is there, and behind that, bitter cold air starts to build into the plains. This may be a little bit further to the west, and you got to watch this because now with some upslope flow, that may put some snow into parts of Colorado and New Mexico, and maybe some much-needed moisture here across the southwest with this Arctic air really just pushing up against the mountains. This puts some cold air into Texas, and at this point, this is a pattern that's ripe for something. As we head into next Monday, the GFS is trying to develop something here on the southern side of this baroclinic zone, that dividing line between the really cold and warm Gulf air here to the south. Let's see how that shakes out, because I'm not so sure that we can time that out just yet. That's the European, the GFS on board with this same idea. There comes the cold. It's different, though. It doesn't want to put the energy as strong back here. It wants to actually do something here on the southern side of our front and develop a little bit of snow here into the mid-Atlantic. I don't know that I buy that just yet, but we are talking day 7, so let's see how this works out. And that would put some snow into the northeast. I don't want to let you guys down and say that's going to happen. The European isn't showing this, and this is still next Sunday into Monday, so 7 to 8 days out. I'm not buying it just yet. I say watch the southern part here of this, because you may actually end up suppressing any storm potential here just because of all the cold air that's moving down here into the eastern United States. And then by early next week, I mean, if you get cold air this far south, the GFS usually overdoes things. But the idea that, I mean, if this thing, again, is just 100 miles to the north, you've got a situation just like what you saw. I doubt we're going to get the snow and the ice that far south. We didn't this time. The models were showing the same thing with the last storm, and it moved everything north 100 miles or more. So let's wait and see on that one. All right, that's all I got. See you next time.